Cryptocurrency, passive income, that's what we're talking about today. We're going to be talking about what works now. I have an entire video series. This is the second video that I've recorded for that series on my channel. The previous video was called Cashback Monthly Method, and in this video we're going to call it the Casino Mogul Method. Have you ever wanted to own a casino, or have you ever wished you could earn the profits? Imagine being able to earn profits literally 365 days a year, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, nonstop, because that's what casinos do. By the way, before we get into the video, if you want to learn how you can earn passive income totally for free, be sure to go down into the description and subscribe to our Crypto Passive Profits newsletter. All right, let's get this started. Currently using this method, I've got one online casino right now, cryptocurrency casino, that's paying me about $3 or $4 a day, literally. And then I got another one that's paying me about $7 a day, literally. The great thing about this method is you can get your money out very, very quickly, typically in less than 90 days. And then you're just sometimes faster. Like I've had one casino where I was able to ROI, or get my return on investment. The investment that I made, I got back in 24 hours. Another one, I got my investment back in 2 days. It's just crazy. And then after that, everything that you're earning, like that's just gravy at that point. It's just extra. It's like free cryptocurrency that you're earning, and you can earn it for weeks, months, years, even for literally the life of the casino. As long as the business lasts, as long as you're doing well, as long as they're bringing in players, you're going to be earning cryptocurrency, a passive stream of daily cryptocurrency in most cases. So I'm going to talk to you how this method works, and that's what we're going to discuss today in this video. So let's just continue. So why this method appealed to me? Okay, so here's the thing. I remember the very first time I went to a casino. I went to my brother's wedding. I was in Biloxi, Mississippi. I walk in, and someone in the wedding party sat down with me, and they gave me $10 to play with, and they just basically were teaching me how to play at a blackjack table. Now, I started looking around, and I recognized how many people were playing here. How many people were placing bets, even at our table. It was a $10 table. I was playing $10. No, maybe it was a $5 table because I only had 2 or 3 bets. But I was playing with that, and everybody around me, I was seeing people lay down $25 bets, $50 bets, even $100 bets. And there were several of these tables. There was 5 seats at my table. There were several of these tables in the casino. It was like a Friday night. It was pretty packed. I mean, I saw, these craps tables. I didn't even know what craps was at the time, but I saw roulette tables. I didn't know what that was. I saw all these slot machines, and I saw all these people, and I thought, man, this thing is open 24 hours, 7 days a week, 365 days a year. Imagine a business that is producing revenue literally every second at this volume. It just blew my mind. I ended up becoming an affiliate. I started learning about affiliate marketing. One of the first business ventures I ever did was I advertised for online casinos back then. Now, back then, it was a lot easier. There wasn't near the regulations that there are now. It was a relatively new thing. The internet was still earlier in its infancy, but now there's a lot of regulations. It's very difficult to work with that. But when you were an affiliate for the casino, what happens is you have to advertise as an affiliate. And the reason I did it is because I'm like, man, how do you get a piece of that pie? Well, you advertise as an affiliate, and when you bring someone on board, you earn a percentage of the revenue that they bring to the casino. The challenge with that is you only earn off their revenue. As long as they play, you make money. When they quit playing, you don't make any money. And you are only making money when they're playing. So you're not making, it's not like you're making money off the entire player base. Now imagine being able to earn a passive income in cryptocurrency, and you're literally earning money off of you're getting a percentage of the profits earned off the entire player base. Literally. That's what we're talking about today. Now, I actually think this is a trend that's going to become more popular in the future. And I think as cryptocurrency develops, I think we're going to see this become much more popular, this business model. And I also believe that it's possible, even though we've got a couple of big players in the industry already, it's very possible that the biggest player in the industry isn't the current player. The biggest player in the industry might not even be here yet. And that's what makes this so exciting. Combine that with the ability of being able to get a quick return on your investment very, very fast, then that makes this all that much more interesting as a cryptocurrency passive income model. Now, some cryptocurrency gaming platforms allow you to mine their tokens. Okay, so this is the key. There's cryptocurrency gaming platforms or casinos have been around since cryptocurrency's been around almost. I mean, almost from the early stages, there was some game of chance you could play and you could wager your Bitcoins. But you weren't actually able to mine a token or earn a token. And we're talking about a literal cryptocurrency token that can be transferred on the blockchain, that can be bought and sold on exchanges in some cases. And what we're talking about today is being able to mine these tokens and be able to earn a percentage of the profits that are paid, being able to earn a percentage of the profits from the casino, because a percentage of the profits are paid to the token holders in the form of like a dividend, and typically it's paid daily. So to be profitable with this method, you have to understand the risk, how tokens are mined. We're going to discuss that in some detail, and how the profits are paid out. So you want to understand how to mine the tokens. First of all, you got to ask yourself, why do they even allow you? Like, what's the advantage to this business model versus just allowing people to deposit Bitcoin, win or lose, allow them to withdraw their Bitcoin? Like, what is the advantage to this? Well, this method, really and truly, it brings in new players, creates a player reward system, and creates player loyalty. But let's break this down. The biggest thing is it creates an incredible player reward system. If you are familiar with any online casinos, it's normal for them to have some sort of well, let's take land-based casinos because more people would be familiar with that. Almost all land-based casinos have some sort of a point loyalty system. They have some sort of a card, right? And there's tiers: silver, gold, diamond, double diamond, whatever. And when you use these, what you do with this card is you take this card and you put it in the slot machine, or when you go to sit down at a table, you give it to the dealer and they track your play. The more you play, the more rewards you get. And these rewards are, they give you free stuff, right? You get maybe a free buffet, or you get, 10% off stay in a hotel, or you can earn free hotel nights if there's a hotel attached to the casino, or you can earn, there's really no limit to the perks that you can earn, but those perks are only based on your play. But when you mine tokens, basically it's the ultimate reward system. It's a way to earn a percentage. Imagine if you went to your favorite land-based casino, no matter what it is, and imagine for playing you earn points, and those points entitled you to a percentage of the casino's revenue, whether you went and played or not that day. They would make a daily deposit into your bank account, or you could log into their website and do a withdrawal from their website. A normal land-based casino. What if that was possible? Well, that is exactly what happens with these cryptocurrency casinos, the specific ones we're going to discuss, the strategy we're going to discuss. We're talking about casinos that allow you to mine a token, a dividend earning token. Now, so it creates a great player reward system. The other thing that it does is it brings in new players. You see, the fast ROI, the high percentage earnings, because as you can imagine, if a casino has been in business for years and they've had thousands, tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands of players, there's a lot of tokens that have been mined. So every dollar that comes in gets split, by a lot of people. Well, put it this way, a lot of times there's a limit to, like, say 100 million tokens. Well, by the time you split a dollar 100 million ways, there's not a whole lot left on that dollar. But if you're the guy who gets the first 10 tokens and there's a dollar, well, technically if you're the guy, then it's yours. But if there's, you get what I'm saying. If you're a part of the first 1,000 tokens that get mined, or the first 10,000 tokens that get mined, and there's potentially 100 million, well, you're going to be able to get your percentage earnings from the casino revenue is going to be much higher. The percent that you get is going to be much higher early on. So new players come in droves because it's exciting. It's the new thing, the new kid on the block, the new gaming platform, and because the earnings are much better early on. But even outside of the early stages, it still is a good long-term player reward system, and it creates player loyalty because imagine if you could go to any two casinos, but one of those casinos you owned a minor stake in the profits or the revenue, which one would you go play at this Friday night? You're probably going to go to the one that you own a minor ownership stake in the revenue. And that's what happens here. Because look, even if someone's not playing, even if you're a minor, you don't play. You do not play for fun if you're a minor. That's the big, and we'll get to that in a minute. What separates minors or investors from gamblers or players. So, but even as a minor, as a player, the truth is, most people are not 100% miners. A lot of people are a combination. Maybe 90% of the time they mine, but they might still occasionally come for fun. When you're logging in every day to make a withdrawal, you're visiting that website. So some people are going to be tempted. Hey, do I want to take this withdrawal or do I want to play with this withdrawal? it's gonna be it creates loyalty. It creates a reason for people to come back to websites. It's a great player reward system, and it brings in, if you have a new casino, the number one challenge is getting players. It brings in a huge amount of players early on. To be successful, you have to mine tokens like an investor, and I'm gonna be basically separating pure investor from pure gambler. Gamblers always lose eventually. The key word there being eventually. And you have to know the difference and make certain that you're an investor. Gamblers are not really focused on getting a return on investment with tokens. They're just having fun. When they get a dividend, they just see it as, more money, free money to play with. Gamblers are just there for the fun. They're there for the action. They're not really looking to earn a return. They're looking to get lucky and win. They're going to always lose cryptocurrency in the long run. Investors focus on getting tokens at the best price by mining, not playing. And if the website is successful, they will always earn crypto. As long as the website, the business succeeds, this method is so great because you're literally guaranteed to win in the long run. When I say win, be profitable in the long run, as long as the actual business itself is a successful business. That's the key. And one more thing that I didn't mention, as an investor, your whole focus is to get your ROI, get your initial investment back so you can start earning that passive cryptocurrency dividends. As an investor, there are three things that you have to understand. You have to understand how to mine tokens, how profits are distributed, and how fast dilution will occur. Now, one thing we're going to cover here is I'm going to talk to you kind of my overall strategy towards the end, but before we get there, I want to build a case for you to understand why I have the strategy that I have. Mining is typically based on volume of play. So the total volume of cryptocurrency wagered. Now, volume doesn't mean how much you win. A lot of times people will see something like 800 TRX per token and they're like, I got to win 800 TRX to get one token? Or you mean I got to lose 800 TRX, TRX being Tron, which is a cryptocurrency. It could be Bitcoin or Satoshi or whatever, or Ethereum. But in this case, we're just using Tron as the example because a lot of the online casinos are on the Tron ecosystem. It's 800 TRX wagered, not what you lose, not what you win. Wagered. Volume is not the price. So I'll show you how to calculate price. 800 wagered means that you may wager, let's just say you make a 50-50 bet and you win. Well, if you win, you still get a token. If you lose, guess what? You still get a token. So win, lose, or draw, it's just about wagering. How to mine the gaming tokens. Consider how much you want to invest. This is important. So these platforms are very risky. Let me explain this. They're risky because many of them don't succeed. They're brand new businesses. Most new businesses fail in the first year. Many fail in the first 6 months, some in the first 30 days, and a few even in the first month. First, how much do you want to be able to invest in this token? That's what you want to consider. And I'll just use USD value, dollar value, because it may be easier to understand. Let's just say you're like, I want to invest $1,000. And there are some people who invest tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands of dollars in this strategy. Why? Because once you get ROI, you're making a daily income off of a revenue of a casino. You are a perpetual stakeholder in those revenues. That's why. So you want to think about how much do you want to invest. So let's just say it's $1,000. You want to use 1% or less. You want to use dice games to play to mine, and I'll tell you how to do that. You're going to set your bet size. You're going to auto roll. This is the lowest variant strategy that allows you to get the highest volume. Keep in mind, it's based on volume. So in our previous example of 800 TRX wagered, the question is based on your $1,000 or your $8,000 worth of TRX, how many times can you wager 800? Meaning win, lose, or draw. How many times can you wager 800? Because that's going to be the amount of tokens that you get. So you need a strategy that's going to keep your percent of losses as low as possible. That's going to allow you to get a high amount of volume and not give you a lot of ups and downs in your bankroll. It's not about winning a lot, losing a lot. That's what the gamblers do. Let's talk about how do you calculate the price, and I'll show you some real world examples of this here in a minute. So how do you calculate the price of a token? Because we're using the example of 800 TRX wagered, and that can be 1,100, it can be 2,000. But in this example, we're just saying 800. It may be 200, by the way. It's the house edge multiplied by the total wager volume per for the token. So what's the wager volume per token is what goes here. So in the previous example of 800 TRX wager gets you 1 token. The house edge, let's just say, is 2%. Typically it's 3% or less, but let's just say it's 2%. It's 2% times 800, which is going to be 16 TRX. Your goal is to play with the strategy that will allow you to earn the cheapest you're going to get these mining long term is going to be 16 TRX. There is statistically no way, if you play enough bets, to get these cheaper in the long term in this example. Now, there may be some person who comes along and, they're a gambler, and they may, wager, and they may be like, hey, anytime you see someone saying, I mined them for 8 TRX, they did not mine, they gambled, and they're currently lucky. If they keep doing what they're doing, eventually they're probably going to be getting them for 30 TRX per token. And if they keep going and they play enough, they'll probably get to 16 TRX eventually, because that's the house edge. If anybody plays enough, they're going to get to this number eventually. But the quickest way to this number is what we're going to discuss. What's the fastest way to get a lot of tokens and get them as cheap as possible? We'll show you here on this website. So GooseBet is one particular platform. So let me just show you. By the way, GooseBet, I'm getting about $4 a day. I'm getting $7 a day on another one called BetFury. But let me just show you how you would mine this token. Come here, go to games. You want to go to 95, roll under 95%, and then you set your amount. And in this case, I got 3,000. So if I was just going to wager this, then I would probably put it at 30. And then you're going to set it on auto roll or auto bet in this case. And you say auto. Now, dice games are great because they work really fast. Watch. They roll really fast typically, and it's very simple. And the whole goal is just to roll less than 95. Eventually, will you roll over 95? Yes. Yes. Keep in mind, you set your amount that you want to wager. And we're just using 3,000 here because it's what I got in here to withdraw still from dividends. But if I'm going into a new platform, I'll go in with $1,000 worth. And I will just start wagering. I'm going to take $1,000 worth of the token, and whatever. It may be 300. Like in GooseBet, for example, I did 300 the first time. And right now I'm getting about $3 or $4 a day. I did $280 to be exact in the GooseBet. And how much did I wager? About half a percent. That's what I wager. And you set it to auto, and you let it run, and expect for it to run all day, all night, the next day, whatever, till your balance is gone. Why? Because you have to get, in order for statistics and math to work out, the challenge is most people don't understand math. In order for statistics and math to work out right here, to get down to that 2% house edge, for that to work out accurately, it takes tens of thousands of bets, maybe hundreds of thousands. Like if you're a math genius, you can put it down in the description. It takes a lot for that to work out over the long run. So you got to make a lot of bets. And the strategy that I just discussed with you, under 95, or if it will go higher, if it go to 96, it just means there's a lower house edge. Then do it under 96, whatever that is. Do it under that. That's going to allow you to get a high volume of play. Why? Because 94%, 95%, 96%, whatever, you're winning. You're winning over and over again. Periodically, you'll lose one. If it's 95, 1 out of every 20 rolls, on average, you're going to lose. And people freak out sometimes because they're like, I got above 95 3 times in a row. That shouldn't be possible. Well, it is possible. Get over it. You just had bad luck. I've done it. Everybody's done it. One of the websites, it might be BetFury. If you do it, if you roll a 10% bet, I think it's in the 50s. If you roll just in the 50s 7 times in a row, that's the same thing as saying roll under 90, but you end up rolling over 97 times in a row. You would think that's not possible. How can that happen? It's statistics. It is possible. It's called a gambler's fallacy to assume that it can't. We'll get to that. You have to grasp statistics. Otherwise, you will become a gambler. And your job is not to be a gambler. You want to be a investor. The best way, hands down, there's nothing better than mining the way that I just showed you. It's about playing in such a way that you can get as much volume as possible off of the amount that you want to invest into the platform. It's not about, if you have $1,000 to invest, it's not about seeing how many tokens I can get and can I make money. No, you are just like if you were to go to an exchange, KuCoin or Binance. It's no different. If you were to go there and buy, you had $1,000 in USD and you bought Tron or Bitcoin or Ethereum, it's no different. You would spend your USD and you would get those tokens or that cryptocurrency. It's the same thing here. Your goal is that the difference is there's no set price. The price is based off the house edge and the volume you wager. So to keep the price low, you have to wager a lot to get the statistics to work out as close to that 2% as possible. And it will eventually get to the 2%. So you want to bet under 95, set it to auto roll, set your amount, deposit your amount. If you have to deposit your amount, let it run. When it's done, you're going to be left over with those tokens. And then those tokens, you're going to be earning dividends every single day. That's how you mine. That's how it works. How the profits are distributed. So Wink, let me go back. I should actually just show you that. So Wink is an online casino. It's one of the oldest. It's the big dog in the space right now. They pay out full dividends every day. So the entire amount, the entire dividend pool, I'll show you. This is Wink. So Wink pays this 1.2 million Tron out every single day. Every single day. Negative right now on BTT, 568 negative in USDT. How can there be negative? Because there's winners right now. That's why. But the house always wins in the long run. So some days you'll get zero, you'll get nothing. But eventually, more days than not, obviously it's positive, and you'll get a percentage of that based off of what you have mined. Now but the key here is how they distributed. Win pays out every day, they pay the full amount. BetFury, another online casino. I'm not even logged in here. I've been doing really well in BetFury. Let me see. I'm logged in. I want to show you this. So I'm getting, there we go. Okay. So I'm getting about 70,000 a day. That's roughly $7, which is awesome. I mean, that's just freaking awesome. Roughly $7 every single day is what I'm getting for BetFury. Now, how does BetFury work? They pay out 3% of their div pool every day. So this is the dividend pool, and they pay out 3%. They don't pull out the whole thing. So they're not going to pay out this 57 Bitcoin today in dividends. They're going to pay out 3% of this. We'll talk about why they do that later. GooseBet, which we saw earlier, they do like a hybrid. They started out for day one, they paid out 15%. GooseBet is the newest player here. They paid out 15%. And that 15% goes down by 2% every single day until they're eventually down to 3%, which is on par with BetFury. So they paid out 15% on day one, and then like today they're going to pay out 12.6%. It's important for you to understand how these platforms pay out their dividends. And here's the example. Wink pays out full dividends. GooseBet paid out 15% day one, decreasing by 2% each and every day. BetFury, 3% of total pool every single day. Now, there's some pros and cons to this. Let's talk about them very briefly. The more a platform pays out, the faster you can get your ROI back. So one of the things that I liked about GooseBet is Wink paid out. Wink was one of the first players. In fact, they were the first player in the industry that I'm aware of that used this method. They pay out 100% of their dividends every single day. The challenge with that is you can have negative days. Dividends can fluctuate a great deal every single day. You can have zero some days. You can have a lot of dividends another day. GooseBet pays out 15%. They're slowly decreasing until they get 3%. BetFury does a 3%. With BetFury's 3%, if you saw, I was getting about $7 a day like clockwork. It creates a much more stable dividend payout that pays out every single day. You don't get your return on investment back as fast because you only get 3% of the daily pool. And that pool grows to some, large measure. It typically grows over several days, weeks, months. And then it just kind of flatlines for a long time. And then it's going to settle wherever the bulk of the players end up playing at, whatever volume the business is able to attract. That's where they're going to settle. Well, they're paying out 3% a day. That's going to be a stable, even though it takes longer to ROI, even after you ROI, it's going to be stable, a steady payout, steady payouts. It can still be higher the first few days or weeks, and it's going to be lower as more and more people, the payout's going to be lower as more and more people stop mining, because a lot of people mine hardcore early on. And then once people are done mining, you have predominantly your players and your gamblers. But still, you're going to be getting much more consistent payout when they pay us low percentage of the total pool. The other thing that can happen is you're going to get diluted over time. Keep that in mind. So day one, we talked about that. Day one, there's a lot less tokens. 2 years in, there could be millions of tokens. You want to look at how quickly things are diluted. So the price of mining, the cheaper it is, the cheaper amount wagered, you're going to get diluted a lot faster. If it's 2,000 TRX wagered per token, you're going to get diluted a lot slower because it takes a lot more play to get a token. You think you do the math on that, or you multiply out that by everyone who's on the website. Total website volume affects dilution. How many total players are playing? Also, the mining stages, how quick they last and how do they work? So mining stages are typically going to be like, say there's 100 million tokens. They may say the price of mining, meaning the amount that you have to wager, is going to go up every 10 million tokens mined. Or like on GooseBet does it every day. I think Wink does it every 2 days. GooseBet goes up every day by 5 TRX. The faster the mining stages happen and the faster the wagering amount goes up, the more important it is to be in early, and the less you're going to get diluted over time. So keep that in mind. I want to talk about this cautionary tale. So I want to tell you the story about Archie Karas, or however you say his name, Karas. I've known about this story for a while. It's such an interesting story. If you've never heard this, you got to hear it. So the thing is, a lot of times people will say things like, they slip into becoming, they want to be an investor, they want to mine the token, and they slip into becoming a player gambler. And they still think they're mining, but they're really gambling. And they think they get lucky, they get on a hot streak, they think they're doing good. And you have to understand that hot streaks can last a long time. This is the same reason why cold streaks can last a long time. This is why you have to, when you're mining, you have to bet a small amount over a long period. A long period. And a long period can be 2 or 3 days, as long as you're betting 0.5% of your bankroll, or less than 1% of your bankroll. Because I find that amount typically gives you enough bets. And I like to even go lower to 0.5% of my bankroll. But let's talk about Archie Karas. If you've never heard this story, it's an incredible story. So this is straight from Wikipedia, by the way. I'm going to read this to you because I just want you to hear this story, because it just shows you how lucky an individual can get. Even though we know that casinos, there's a 2% house edge. Eventually, you're going to lose. But you can be lucky for a long time. So Karas' initial run lasted 6 months when he drove to Las Vegas with $50 and turned a $10,000 loan into approximately $17 million playing poker and pool. In December of 1992, after losing his entire bankroll, Karas drove to Las Vegas with his car and $50 in his wallet. After arriving at the Mirage, Karas recognized a fellow poker player from the Los Angeles scene and convinced him for a $10,000 loan. By the way, don't ever take out a loan to do anything with cryptocurrency. But let's keep going. I digress. Cryptocurrency is high risk. Everything in crypto is high risk. Karas quickly turned the loan into $30,000, playing $200, $400 RAS. That's a good run. You triple your initial amount. That is a heck of a run. By the way, 200, 400 limit RAS is a type of poker. Is a variation of poker. Karas returned $20,000 to his backer, who was more than content with a little over $10,000 in his pocket. Karas went to a bar with the pool table adjacent to the Liberas Plaza on East Tropicana. There he found a wealthy and respected poker and pool player. Karas refused to reveal his name for the sake of his opponent's reputation. He simply referred to him as Mr. X. They started playing a 9-ball pool at $5,000 a game, raising the stakes as games progressed. After Karas won several $100,000, they raised the stakes to $40,000 a game. Many gamblers and professional poker players watched Archie play, and stakes never seen before. saw Archie play with stakes never seen before. Karas ended up winning $1.2 million. The two decided to play poker at Binion's Horseshoe, where Karas won an additional $3 million from Mr. X. Karas was willing to gamble everything he made and continue to raise the stakes to a level few dared to play at. With a bankroll of $4 million, Karas gambled his bankroll up to $7 million after spending only 3 months in Vegas. He got to $7 million. But look, it doesn't stop there, ladies and gentlemen. By now, many poker players had heard of Mr. X's losses to Archie. Only the best players dared to challenge him. Karas sat at the Binion's Horseshoe poker table with 5 of his $7 million in front of him, waiting for any players willing to play for such stakes. The first challenger was Stu Unger, a 3-time World Series of Poker champion, widely regarded as one of the greatest Texas Hold'em and Gin Rummy players of all time. Stu was backed by Lyle Berman, another professional poker player and business executive who co-founded Grand Casinos. Karas first beat Stu for $500,000 playing heads-up Raz. Karas then played Unger in 7-card stud, which cost Unger an additional $700,000. The next player was Chip Reese, widely regarded as the greatest cash player. Reese claims that Karas beat him for more money than anyone else he ever played. After 25 games, Reese was down $2 million, playing $8,016,000 limit. Karas continued to beat many top players, from Puggy Pearson to Johnny Moss. Many top players would not play him simply because his stakes were too high. The only player to beat Karas in the first round during his run was Johnny Chan, who beat him for $900,000, though Chan did lose to Karas frequently. Before and after the streak, by the end of his 6-month-long winning streak, Karas had amassed more than $17 million. Now, he started with $50 in his pocket, and he got a $10,000 loan, and now he's at $17 million. Karas said that Doyle Brunson was the only player able to win playing Raz during his winning streak. The poker action for Karas mostly dried up due to his reputation in stakes. In other words, nobody wanted to play with him. Now, at this point, he's playing poker. Now, here's what you need to understand. Multiplayer poker is beatable. There's no house edge against you in multiplayer poker. The house just takes a percentage of the pot. There's always an individual winning and there's always an individual losing. And the house is taking a micro percentage, 1 or 2% maybe of the pot. At this point, he's not played a game of chance against the house. There are plenty of poker players who have went on epic runs. I personally know amateurs who've played online and went on, great runs where they've made $50,000, $100,000. I know one in particular who made $1 million in a year playing online poker when it was much easier to play in the U.S. So, but you're playing against other players. The best player is going to win over the long run. You can still have, lucky streaks and guys can still get lucky. But overall, fair game of poker, the best player is going to win over enough hands. When you go to dice, he turned to dice, meaning he turned to craps. There's a house edge against you. You cannot beat it long term. But watch this. He turned to dice for $100,000 per roll. Karas was allowed to make pass line and come bets up to $300,000 with no odds. Now, those of you who aren't craps players, let me just say, when he was only able to make come bets, pass line bets, come bets, that means that he had about a 1.4% house edge against him. At no point in time, was the edge going to be smaller than that. Jack Binion, the owner of Binion's Casino, capped Karas' buy bets on the 4 and 10 at $100,000. At one point, Binion raised Karas' 4 and 10 bet limit to $200,000. Now, mind you, there's the house edge on that bet is even bigger than 1.4%. But let's keep going. Karas quickly won $920,000 under these conditions. Then Binion immediately lowered the limit back down. So here's the thing: he's playing against the house. The house only has so much money. They lowered his limits. This is why they have limits, by the way, because people can get lucky and put them in financial turmoil. I promise you, this man probably put Binion's Casino on the brink of bankruptcy. They probably had to find investors and everything else to try to, they had to pull money from all sorts of places. Karas said that he could quickly win $3 million on dice while it took days to weeks with poker. Karas stated, with each play, I was making $1 million decisions. I would have played even higher if they'd let me. Transporting money became a hassle for Karas as he had several $1 million in his car every day. He carried a gun with him at all times, and would often have his brother and casino security guards escort him. At one point, Karas had won all of Binion's casino chips, all of their casino's 5,000 chips. He had all the 5,000 chips. That's nuts. The highest denomination at the time. By the end of his winning streak, he had won over $40 million. So again, he's playing a game where the odds are against him, but he's getting so lucky over the course of several months. He eventually got $40 million every 5,000. So people don't understand that you can get lucky for a very long time or unlucky for a very long time. So when you're mining, it's not about playing the luck. It's about doing your best to make certain that you're playing the statistics. So what happened long term? Downfall. Karas's odd-defying 2.5-year streak came to an end in 1995 when he lost most of his money in a period of just 3 weeks. He lost $11 million playing dice and then lost $2 million he won from Chip Reese back to him. So again, Chip Reese was probably the better player. He won $2 million from a better poker player. Chip Reese, I know of Chip Reese. Chip Reese is one of the best cash players of all time. Some say the best. Yet he lost $2 million back to him. But keep in mind, he had to win the $2 million the first time. I mean, that's crazy. I mean, that just tells you how lucky he was getting. Following these losses, he switched to baccarat and lost another $17 million for a total of $30 million. With approximately $12 million left and needing a break from gambling, he returned to Greece. When he came back to Las Vegas, he went back to the horseshoe shooting dice and playing baccarat at $300,000 per bet. And in less than a month, he lost all but his last million. With his last million, he didn't stop. With his last million, he went to the bicycle club and played Johnny Chan in a $1 million freeze-out match. This time, Chan was backed by Lyle Berman, and they took turns playing Karas. He preferred playing both of them instead of just Chan, as he felt Chan was a tougher opponent. Karas won, doubled his money, only to lose it all at dice and baccarat, betting at the highest limits in just a few days. So he eventually lost all of it. Now, before you call him stupid or whatever else, it's just, he literally probably thought he was going to get it back. And I've read article after article about this guy, and he claims that money's not important to him. He can win or lose. It's not important to him. I don't necessarily buy that. It probably doesn't bother him that he lost millions. In his mind, it came easy. He was probably never going to invest it. He was probably never going to keep it. He was probably, who knows? The whole point of this story is recognizing that you can get lucky or unlucky for a long time. Beware of the gambler's fallacy. This is what gets people in trouble. This is right here is what gets people in trouble. Make sure you're playing the game of statistics. Don't play the game of chance. Statistics, this is about investing. So you want to make certain that in the long run, you win. Anybody can get lucky, but everybody can invest. And if the business does well, you're going to do well. Let's talk about the gambler's fallacy for a minute. Let's explain what this is. So gambler's fallacy basically says, if you have a coin with heads and tails, and you flip that coin, what are the odds that that first roll you're gonna get heads or tails? There's only two sides to the coin. There's not three sides to the coin. So you basically have the 50-50 chance that you're gonna get heads. Let's say you hit heads. The second time, what is the chance on the second roll that you get heads or tails? It's the same, right? It's 50-50. There's only two sides of the coin that never changes. Let's say you get heads. Now let's go for the third time. What are the chances that on the third roll, this one roll, you get a heads or tails? It's still only 1 and 2. It's still 50-50. Let's say that time you get tails. The fourth roll. What are the odds you get heads or tails? Still 50-50, right? And let's just say you get heads. But this is where some people mess up. You get over here to the fifth roll. What are the odds? The odds are still 50-50 that you're going to get heads, because there's only two sides of that coin, right? On this roll, the odds are 50-50, heads. On this roll, the odds are 50-50, right? Heads. Right here, the odds are 50-50, but you still get heads. Now, what are the odds that the fifth roll in this sequence, we got heads, 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 heads. What are the odds the fifth roll in this sequence is going to be heads? Well, you have to ask yourself, what are the odds? Some people are quick to say, well, what are the chances I'm going to make 5 in a row? That's the gambler's fallacy. Or they'll say, heads are hot right now. It's got to be heads. Or they'll say the opposite. They'll say, there's been 4 heads in a row. It's time for a tail. It's time for a tails. So what are the odds? It's always going to be 50-50. The gambler's fallacy is thinking that a sequence of unrelated events can help affect the next outcome which is an independent event. So flipping the coin, heads or tails, is independent. When you flip that coin doesn't realize there's been 4 heads flipped. It's still only 50-50. So a lot of people start gambling. They start looking for streaks. They start thinking they're lucky. They start thinking, and if you're going to gamble, I understand why people do those things. But if you're investing, you want to do your best to stick to the statistics and understand that it's always, in this case, going to be a 50-50 situation. That's the gambler's fallacy, is assuming that a sequence of events can affect the next outcome. No, that coin only has 2 sides. It does not realize that it's rolled 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 heads, 4 in a row. It doesn't know that. It doesn't know that. I know a guy one time who told me he was investing in cryptocurrency and he was building a bankroll. Actually, he was a YouTuber. It wasn't someone I personally know. And I watched him, and he was on this website, and he basically was using a martingale strategy, which is dependent upon the fact of that statistically the one binary outcome, the same binary outcome can't happen over and over again. Like you can't get heads but so many times. He literally was using the martingale strategy with the pretty good sized bankroll, and he could afford to get 22 heads in a row, essentially. He could afford to lose a 50-50 bet 22 times in a row. And in his mind, it would take like 1.6 million times to do that. But he was betting like 1 Satoshi or 2 Satoshis or whatever. And he had several million. He run that thing hours, days, nights, weekends, overnight, 24 hours a day some days. He ran this. And in a month, he went on a good run, but eventually he lost. And it was interesting because he almost appeared like miffed. Like, what are the odds? The odds of that happening are so remote that I'm going to get 22 losses in a row on a 50-50 bet. His belief was built on the gambler's fallacy. It's not about how many times in a row you're going to get. It's the next bet. There's always going to be a 50-50 chance you're right or wrong. And that's what's so deadly with that strategy called the martingale. I'm not going to break that down here because it's a gambler's strategy. But I encourage you not to do anything if you're going to invest 95 below or over 4 if you're going to invest, if you're going to do a strict investing approach. All right. My overall general strategy is I want to look at a platform. What is their long-term potential? Do they have a reputation? Are they known for something else? Does anybody know who the developers are? Does anybody know who the team are? Have they got any other successful projects? What do we know about them? So I look at kind of the long-term potential. When the site launches very quickly, one of the things I'm going to do is make sure the site works. Does it work well? Is there any problems, any glitches? I'm probably going to see if they have a Telegram group or a Discord group. I'm going to go in there and I'm going to lurk and I'm going to watch. I'm going to pay attention. Are people talking? Do they have some sort of marketing? When the website goes live, I want to know what's the player experience look like? Does it look interesting? Are there, incentives and promotions? Do they look like they're trying to actively build a business? That's what I'm looking at. I'm going to decide how much I want to invest, but keep in mind, and the goal is to get as many tokens as I can by using the mining strategy that I just explained. I'm going to go in as early as I can, and I'm going to keep going until I get that entire investment in. 0.5% bet, maybe 1%, whatever. When I get that entire original investment in, and it may, depending on the size of the investment, it may take a few days to get it in. But that means I've made tens of thousands, probably hundreds of thousands of bets. So I'm going to be getting my best price on those tokens. At that point, I'm going to stop. I'm not going to play any more until I get my original investment out. I'm going to withdraw. Typically, dividends are paid once a day, sometimes twice a day, sometimes every other day. But usually, most often than not, it's once a day. I'm going to withdraw those dividends until I'm made whole. It may take me, if I'm lucky, I may get them back in a few days, less than a month. If they're paying out like a small amount like BetFury, it might take me a little longer, but I'm going to get it all back as long as they stay in business. The single greatest risk is that they exit scam or that they go out of business for another reason. And if they go out of business quick, typically it's an exit scam. They bring in money and then no one knows who the developers are. They don't have any reputation at all and they just go out. And that's happened time and again in this space. Far more casinos have left or exit scammed than have stayed. And by the way, it doesn't matter how good they look. Great looking websites, that several come to mind that looked great gaming experience. They looked awesome. I've talked about them on my channel in the past, and then they exit scam. The developers quit and leave. They cut and run with the money they have that they haven't paid out in dividends yet. That's horrible. But something like Wink, right now, BetFury seems to be doing good. GooseBet seems to be doing good, although they're both newer. GooseBet being the newest. I would say the newer they are, the more risk there is. But that's when you can make the most money. So your whole goal is to get that original investment out. 30, 60, 90 days, typically you're going to be able to get that original investment out. And then at that point, you can decide, do you want to just keep reinvesting? Or do you want to start withdrawing? Or do you want to do like a 50-50 or whatever? And then I recommend that you withdraw once a day or once a week, depending on how much you're getting each day. Do you consider yourself a gambler or an investor when it comes to these platforms? If you're familiar with them, let me know. You want to be one of the first to know about when I start mining the next platform, the next casino investment. If you want to be in the know, you want to be one of the first to know what I'm mining next, why, what my thoughts are, my potential, my outcome, then what you want to do is go down and subscribe to my Crypto Passive Profits newsletter, because I'll definitely send out an email and just to let you know what's going on. I'm also tell you can follow me on the library platform. I talk a lot about more of my gaming stuff like this, the casino type mogul strategy. I cover this stuff far more often on the library platform. I'll put a link down in the description to the library platform. Any of these blue boxes here, this is library specific content. Library is nothing more than a decentralized version of YouTube, and you can earn free cryptocurrency for checking out library. So I'll put a link down in the description for that. Again, you can come here and watch the monthly cashback method, which I covered previously on my channel. If you haven't seen the monthly cashback method, go ahead and watch that. And I'll put my entire playlist on this channel as well, into this channel. Once I get more videos up, into this video, sorry, I'll put the entire playlist. I'm going to continue this series. I've got another video that I'm going to do on cryptocurrency passive income. Cryptocurrency allows some of the best ways to earn passive income that exist anywhere on the planet today. It's really unreal and it's really unprecedented. Make certain you go watch that monthly cashback method just to get an idea of what I'm talking about. Thank you so much for watching. Be sure to hit that subscribe button, hit that like button. Remember, crypto equals freedom. This is Crypto Wealth. I'm out.